Good morning. This is Bill Klingberg with SCORE Houston. I hope everybody's safe and doing well this morning. Thanks for coming to the webinar on home-based businesses. We've got a couple of things I want to run over. First of all, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. This presentation will be recorded, and the slide deck will be available both on our, both of them will be available on our website, houston.score.org, which we're going to show you at the very end of the presentation how to navigate the website real quickly. There's one added thing too that we're going to do today, and that is a poll question, and actually two questions. One's going to ask you to rate the webinar and gives you some options that you can choose. The other one is centered around finding a mentor, and you can answer those questions too, if you please. SCORE, being a nationwide organization of volunteers, has different people with different skills to help you in your small business success. We have lawyers, we have accountants, we have sales and marketing people, manufacturing, we have people from different backgrounds and industries. So please take advantage of the free mentoring that SCORE has to offer. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Lalitha Raman, who is going to be the presenter this morning. Take it away, Lalitha.
Thank you, Bill. Good morning, everybody. I just want to say thanks for coming to our webinar. We're going to try and see, now that the virus is slowed down and we are all getting back to kind of normal, semi-normal situation. So we may be looking for opportunities to start businesses. So with that in their mind, all we are going to do is trying to get going on what's a home-based business, right? What's a home-based business? Before I say that, I've been with SCORE for almost 10 years, and I do webinars and seminar presentations. So if you can always reach me at SCORE. My name is Lalitha Raman at scorevolunteer.org. It's a business. Home-based business means something you do from your home. That is, you don't have another office or another building. So you're running your operation from your home. So what kind of business can you do? You can do a service, kind of. You can counsel, you can talk to people, or you can even be selling products from home, you know. So that's why I said service or non-service. And then it's not dependent upon the size. You may have an office at home, but you may have other people working for you. So it could be a fairly large size operation. And what kind of legal structure you have to choose, we'll go over that. And like I said, it can have employee or no employees at all. So let's look at, before you start, first you need to decide what is it that you want to solve. Are you trying to, you found something that you think you can help out the customer, or you have a product that you can sell? So you need to see what's the problem you're trying to solve. And then what are your talents and motivation? Many people think they can start a business, but once you start a business, you realize that you have to work a lot more hours, and then they are not that well motivated, you know. So what can you do? You have to wear several hats when you are in business for yourself. So do you have all the skills? And many people don't like to work by themselves. They prefer to work with a group of people. They like interaction with other people. So are you one of those people that you can stay home and continue to work? Which I think this virus has taught us, for many of us, to be stay home and walking by yourself. And then how about administrative tasks, payroll, filing taxes, accounting? So these are things that you need to, again, do by yourself. And do you have a mentor or someone you can ask for help? You need to find that in ahead of time, because you can't be calling for help at the last minute. And then you need to make a very simple business plan. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why do we need a business plan. It's always a good thing to know about your roadmap for how you're going to measure your success. What's about according to the SBA, the average home-based business has a revenue of $62,000. That's a lot of money. And then many of them make a fairly decent net profit. And most of them don't move out of their homes. They continue to work in their home for many, many years. Like I have done a tax business and I have done that for many, many years from home. So only difference is you may have to work a lot longer than you think you'll be working in an office kind of a situation. What are the things you have to do? Not only do you have to work yourself, you're going to have some family support. Decide what to sell. You need to collect information. Is this a viable concept that you have? Maybe somebody else is doing a similar thing. Nowadays, a lot of information is available in Google, so you can check. And then who are you going to sell? Will there be enough market customers? So you're going to have to check that. And then where are you going to get the money and financing to work on this? So of course I said rewards and risks are always there. Choose the right legal form and create a business plan. Once you have done this, then you can file your legal papers. So what's the basic business plan will be? We have a lots of classes on business plan. We teach you how to write a business plan and how to do your research for the business plan. So your business plan overall will have a description. What is it that you want to do? Your mission. What's your legal structure you've decided to do? Who's going to be in your management? If you are the only person, you may still have to say, I have a lawyer, I have an accountant, so these are a banker. So these are all the things that you're going to say. Then marketing, like I said, what kind of product or service? What is the uniqueness about it? How big is the market that you're trying to sell? The size of the market. And then who is selling a similar operation? Is there somebody else doing similar thing? Let's say you're thinking of doing some consulting from home. Maybe there are other people doing similar kind of operation. So you need to see that. And then you have to set aside some money for your promotion, because where are you going to promote your product, your service? Where are you going to find funding, cash flow, and financial statement? Many of them, when they hear the term financial statement, they all start thinking, my God, I'm not an accountant. What am I going to do about financial statement? So it's fairly simple. You can understand them yourself, and that gives you an idea where you're going. And then if you are signing a contract with someone, you need those supporting documents for yourself, okay? Or even for your filing, what are you going to be filing? So what's the advantages? Good thing is you don't have to be commuting. You don't need to pay rent for an office. So those are kind of savings. Then your schedule is flexible. And then if you're using a home, you can get some tax deductions for your home and things like that. So you feel like you have achieved something. Like we talked about, no, if you're alone, you may feel a little bit isolated, nobody to help you with. And then how do you go about finding customers, if you don't talk to anybody? And then there's a tendency for many of us when we are working from home, we are not very professional looking. We don't dress up for the occasion. Like you see on TV, the guy is on the phone and then suddenly everything goes haywire. And what is he wearing? He's wearing his pajamas or something. You need to have a professional look. And if you're going to have home and clients are going to come, you need to set aside time and place for to meet them. What kind of business you want to start? Should I start a business or should I buy an existing business? You may say, what? Existing business? Even home-based businesses are existing? Yes, you can. And start a new business, good, because then you're starting clean slate. You can do what you want. You can set up the way you want. But unfortunately, it's a full-time job and you need wearing several hats, like I said. What about buying a business? There are franchises available. You can have cleaning services, you can have coaching classes. There are so many of them. All you have to do is go to a website and take a look. Direct selling opportunities. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. You can sell things like Amway, which used to be like products, cleaning products, soaps, and all kinds of stuff. Vitamins, Herbalife. Mary Kay products, which are cosmetic. Many of them nowadays even have like used clothing. So there are a lot of things that you can sell online. Or if you're an art kind of person and you make things with your hand and you want to sell them, yes, there are opportunities for that too, you know. One of my friends, he said he makes furniture and he sells from home. I thought, wow, that's a lot of work. He said, yeah, but he loves doing it, and so he's selling it, you know. So if somebody else has a product or service and you can do the share with them and sell that. Okay. Home-based business owner, what did you need to know? What kind of legal structure should you have? You know, I'm going to go through that in a minute. You know, once you decide on what kind of legal structure, then you have to take some steps to register your company. Then you have to get business license and permits. You know, that's a must in many cases that people have to be having some licenses to do certain kind of business. Like me, I'm a CPA, so I have to have a license as a CPA. So that's one important thing. Then financial management and record keeping, you know. Record keeping is crucial because when it comes at the end of the year, you need to know what kind of money you got, what kind of money you spent. So that's important. And then you are responsible for your taxes, federal and state taxes, you know. And the last one that I want to point at to you is this thing about home owner and condominium association restrictions. A lot of them have very, very strict zoning laws. That's mainly because they want to protect their neighborhood. So you need to find out from your homeowner or your neighborhood association to see what kind of rules and regulations are available. You know, for example, people used to have a lot of garage sales. Every month, every couple of weeks, they were having a garage sale. That's really not a garage sale. That was they were doing business, you know, online. And then with a lot of people coming in, that was kind of disturbing. So what kind of legal structures are available for you? Sole proprietorship. What's a sole proprietorship? That is, you are a single person and you are going to run the business and you are the one sharing your profits and all that. So you're going to be registering your company with the county. In Harris County, there are several offices. You can look for Harris County to register. You may find office close to where you are. And then next thing is if you are in another county like Fort Bend or Montgomery County, you will have to find where the office is and register your company there. It's a very simple form. You go in, choose a name, fill out the information, and there you go. There you pay a minimum, maybe $20 at the most, and you get your company registered. Great. Then next thing is suppose you have a partner. In that case, yours is a partnership. There are two of you owning the company. You can still register with the county as a partnership. And only thing is your responsibilities are going to be a little bit different. When you have a partnership and you decide to take on a partner, be sure that you understand what that involves. How are you going to put in money to do the business? What kind of different roles are you going to do? Suppose you are choosing a partner who is very good in marketing. So their contribution will be all the marketing part of it, you know. So you decide and get a partnership agreement written up so that, you know, it's always easy to get into a partnership, but it's very hard to get out because you and your partner may not see eye to eye as to how the company was doing, what kind of assets, what kind of things that you're going to sell. Then limited liability company, what we call LLC. This has been a very, very popular kind of business or structure, mainly because your liability is limited. You may ask me, what if I'm a sole proprietor? Isn't my liability limited? In a way, it is. You know, nobody can take your home away, nobody can take your personal car away, but any other asset could be then asked because in case something happens with your business and somebody sues you, you know. Then we have the regular C corporation, which we see all the time. Big companies are all registered C corporation. What the big advantage on that is you can get money as a sole proprietor to get funding might be a little bit difficult, you know. As a C corporation, they feel like they buy the stock, then they own the company, you know. But now there is a variation in a C corporation that we call a sub S corporation. What you do in this case is you register your company as a corporation, but you tell the IRS, I want to be treated as a sub S chapter, subchapter S. What's the big advantage? Subchapter S, you don't have to pay taxes on your company's profits. Whereas a C corporation, you pay taxes as a corporation, and any money that is given to you as a dividend or capital gain as an owner will be taxed again as an individual. And see, S corporation by itself is not like a legal structure, but it is in a way because you're limiting your liability, and the IRS will approve it, and you have to file your paperwork within 75 days of forming the corporation. So now what do? You have to go to the state's website and register your corporation and your LLC. Okay. What's the liability? This is the critical part that makes people choose the kind of ownership they want to do. A sole proprietor, you're one person and you have unlimited personal liability. I just told you, you don't have to worry about your home or your car, but if you have other assets, big bank balance, then they may be suing you for it. Partnership, you and your partner can be unlimited personal, again, liability there. There are what we call a limited partnership. Normally this comes in real estate where there will be one general partner and the rest of them will be limited liability. So they don't become liable, it's the partnership. The partnership assets are the ones that they can go after, The limited liability company or the LLC, the owners are not personally responsible, that it'll be only the company's assets that they have to go. Now, limited liability company or a corporation, you need to go back to the state's website, State of Texas, SOS, and look, how do you register? It's a very simple operation. You have to file some paperwork. You have to file an operation document, and it costs you about $300. Now, coming back here, I may be talking a little bit. Let me see if I have something up here. Your tax responsibility on this will be different. As a sole proprietor, you file an individual tax return and you are responsible at a partnership level too. A limited liability company, depending upon if it is a single member, it's almost like being a sole proprietor or like a partnership. But if you are a corporation, then you'll have to file a separate kind of document for that. Now, business license and permits. Why do we have to have licenses and permits? If you're working, you still have to protect the public, because like me, I'm doing tax returns and I'm responsible that if I make an error and they don't pay enough taxes, they may come back and ask me, why didn't you get the right information? So they may ask, I'll be liable. So that's the reason. And then to track your own revenue for tax purposes, how much are you making and how much are you selling? And then the other important part is the local state of Texas also charges state tax. So you need to be aware what is it that you have to have. So if you go to the government state of Texas and you can see all the different kinds of permits you have to have. Suppose you run a daycare, then your responsibility will be totally different from a person who's just going to do a marketing or a web design, so that's going to be different. So you need to understand what your permits are required, and it depends upon the kind of business you do. So if you're doing, suppose you need to have the Houston Health Department may check. If you're preparing a lot of food items, they may be wanting to check. The health department might want to check. Or you're running a daycare. They want to make sure that all the children are protected. You have all the fire alarms and all the electrical outlets are put in properly and things like that. So those are the kind of things that the government, local government will check it out. And then of course, you have to have your own professional and trade license. If you are a construction person, you may need some special licenses, like somebody coming and cutting a tree in the front. They may have to have some licenses to do it so that they don't injure anybody. So your home occupation permit, the county may require if you are going to run a daycare or if you're having something else. And then a zoning permit might be required too from the city. Now, I talked a little bit about sales tax. Sales taxes are, you are required to collect sales taxes from the person you're selling to. Some services are also taxed. So you need to check the Texas website and get a sales tax permit. Now, you can charge the end user, but what if I'm going to buy something and I'm going to make something and then I'm going to sell? And so what do I do in this case? Then you get what we call an exemption certificate from the state, where when you buy a product to make something, then you don't pay the sales tax, but the sales tax is collected when you sell it to the other person. Now, there's another thing that I want to point out at this point is a lot of people think that if you sell on the web, you don't have to collect sales tax. That's not true. There are a lot of states that require that you collect sales tax and you pay them. So you need to look. There are rules also there. You know, many of them have a limit. If you sell less than a certain amount, then you don't have to collect. You don't have to collect and pay taxes. Otherwise, you have to collect and you have to pay. And I can't give you a number for it because it is so different that different states, different counties have different tax rates. So you're going to have to check it out. Okay. And then health and safety permits, like I said, for child care or adult care, you're going to have some safety permit. And then can you put out a sign? Maybe your neighborhood, they may not like the idea, you know. So you need to have a sign permit from the city of Houston, you know. And if you're doing construction, any kind of drawing has to be taken to the city and a permit has to be acquired. Even if I know we had some fences done and the guy had to go to the city of Houston and get a permit so that he can install the fence. And you can call the city of Houston permitting center and find out what kind of permits you need. Okay. Then, like I said, you look for zoning. Like if you are something dangerous, suppose you're storing some chemicals in your garage, that's going to be dangerous because what happened in my neighborhood, somebody had some material in the garage and a can of gasoline, and when we had ice, it flooded, and this gasoline container floated up and hit the water heater or something, and the whole house caught fire. And thank God it didn't go to the neighbors, but there is a danger that you could have. Or it's also possible you are putting those chemicals into the drainage system. The city of Houston has permits. You cannot put in a lot of chemicals because that will be harming the sanitary sewer lines, you know. And like I said, ask your homeowners and condominium association. And is it you need to ask, is it legal for you to use your home for business? You know, why don't they want? What's the big problem for homeowners? It's my home. I can do anything in my home, right? No. If you have a business and they see a lot of people coming into the neighborhood, that may cause a problems because they don't know why they are there, why they are coming in, and are they legitimately coming there, or is it somebody just coming there that might be a security issue, you know. So that's what it's going to be. Now, um, when you have a workplace at home, be sure you have a separate location. You are not using it for other purposes because why? Because when you go to deduct taxes, that's one of the questions you have. Whether you're using the room specifically for your business, are you using your computer specifically for the business, you know? And that's what I said about homeowners, increasing traffic, signs, you know, it's, you know, you cannot have it. Like even in a house, you can't rent part of your house, you know, that's not allowed, you know. And then I already mentioned garage sales and storing dangerous amount of material. So what is it that you would be allowed? And then check out, you know, you may have to have a separate structure and you need to have a business atmosphere, you know, have a separate line. So when you have business cards and stationery material, you make them with the right address, okay? What's a home-based business? Like all other home-based business, you have to pay tax, federal and state. Owner needs to know what is considered a revenue. Any kind of service you perform or sell and you get money in form of cash or credit card or barter, that's considered a source of income, you know. And anything that is considered an expense, you buy material that is used in the material to make something, that's cost of goods. But You may also be allowed to take a deduction on your mortgage, interest payment, your utility bills that you're paying for the house, and how do you come up with that? If you're using one room and let's say the room is 15% or 20% of the whole house area wise, then you can deduct that much. So you're going to have a logical way of doing it, and you have to have a consistent way of doing it. Don't start doing this month I have a huge utility bill, so I'm going to deduct more. No, you're going to have the same method of deducting your expenses. And lately, there have been some changes in the IRS's code about home deduction, so you need to be familiar with it. Then I mentioned this to you before. What kind of tax forms do you have to file? If you have a sole proprietor, you're going to file your 1040 and the Schedule C. If you have a partnership, you're going to file a form called 1065. Then they give you a K1 form, which tells what their income level was for each partner. If you're a C corporation, you have to file a form 1120. And then you also pay taxes straight. If you're an S corp, you file a form 1120S, which didn't come up here. And then, 1120S, and you don't pay any taxes on it. When do you have to pay these things when you come up? You need to pay estimated tax payments in April, June, September, and January. Why do you have to make estimated payment? We all hope that you are going to be highly successful in your business. So if that's the case, you're going to have a lot of income. And if you don't pay at the end of the year, you'll be charged penalties. Why? Because, hey, you didn't pay it on time. And the other thing is, if you're a sole proprietor, all the income you make is considered, profit you're making is considered as self-employment taxes. And self-employment taxes is nothing but Social Security and Medicare payment for yourself, which would be about 15%, which you owe. So you need to, if you are very successful, you need to pay at least 15% of the revenue that you think you're going to make on the various estimated taxes, so that at the end of the year, you don't come up with a big balloon payment. You may ask me why. If I'm a sole proprietor and I have to pay an self-employment tax, then isn't it better I form a corporation? As a corporation, you can pay salary and your corporation will pay half. No, don't worry about it, because they have given you an adjustment on your taxes, which you can deduct half of what you pay, which would be exactly what your employer would be paying for it. So you also have different dates on which you have to file the various tax returns. Okay, now you may have another question saying that, hey, I have someone that's going to work for me as a contractor. I'm just going to, I may be a plumber, but I may have one or two employees. I may have an air conditioning repairing thing, and I may have some employees. You can either have them as an employee or you can hire them as a contractor. As an employee, they will get what we call a wage W-2 form at the end of the year. As a contractor, they get a 1099, which tells how much money they make. The big advantage of being an employee is you have to pay half their Social Security, Medicare taxes. Whereas as a contractor, they are personally responsible to do it. So you're not responsible for it. But you may think, oh, that's great. Then if I can save that kind of tax money, then I will have everybody that works for me as a contractor. No, sorry, because you have to understand, what are you doing? Are you giving all the instructions, all that you are doing? Are you making sure that payments that you make are all like this? So it's how much control you have over this person. As when we work in an office, our senior bosses and maybe the directors have control over you. Similarly, if you control what they do, when they do, and how they do the job, then they will be considered as an employee. And the IRS may come back at the end of the day and say, hey, they are not contractors, they are employees. So if you are going to have a contract, be sure you have a written contract and make it very clear to them that this is what is going to be happening. A written contract is also very important if you're going to have developing some new software or new product, because who owns the product that you develop? So those are the kind of things you have to answer. Then I already talked quite a bit about sales tax, so I'm not going to go over it. And all I'm going to say is you can go to the comptroller of Texas and see and get the tax permit, right? Now, this is another important part of it. Insurance liability. What kind of insurance do you have to have? If you are doing a product or service, a third party, your customer, the third party, can find that you did something wrong and they may sue you. So that's the business liability for the product or service you're performing, And like a lawyer or an accountant, I told you about an accountant, they can be sued too if they make a mistake. But those kind of things are again professional liability because you are saying to those customers, I am a trained, I am a professional, and I'm doing this for you. So if they think there's something wrong, they can. Then what about business property? If suppose somebody walks into your store and then I mean wherever you're doing and they fall, they can sue you, right? So that's the thing, that's property insurance. Then product liability, defective product if you're manufacturing. Then business income coverage. This is a very important question that many people had during this virus. Many people thought the virus was also like a flood or a fire. They can ask their insurance company, can I get, because I lost all my business income, can I get some liability coverage from the insurance company? Yes, if you buy those kind of business stopping of in business coverage, you can get that, but not this virus. Unfortunate part of it was the virus was not, nobody even thought about that. Then where do you get money from? You're going to say, I need some money. How am I going to get money for? Because whatever you do, you need some money. This is a general thing we always say. Most of the time, people use money from their savings, or they can use their credit card. If you had a 401k, you may be able to use that in your business, without paying a penalty. You can structure it. There are companies that help you to structure such that your 401k money can be used. Then, of course, you can borrow. Then home equity loan, if you have enough equity in your home, you can take it. But I think that's going to get harder. There was a time you could take a home equity loan and you could use it for any purpose you wanted. But I think now the tax rules are changing. You may not be able to do that. Then, of course, family and friends. For professional investors, they're not going to be coming in and putting money in your business unless they see, hey, I'm going to be making $1 million. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for the small company where their return might be kind of small. Then where else can you go? You can go to commercial banks, Bank Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, and all that. Or you can go to community development financial institutions, which could be Lift Fund, People Fund, Houston Business Development Inc., all these people. Of course, then you can go to leasing company. If you're leasing something, they can give you some money for that too. And then finance companies, you can go have, if you have asset, you can get that. But remember, when you're looking at the rate of interest they may be charging, the leasing companies, finance companies may be higher. How do I get money from customers? You promise to, like I'm a contractor and I promise to remodel your house. I can tell them I need some, can you give me 20% of it ahead of time so that I need to buy things and do all that. That's where you get money from customers. There used to be old way of layaway things. You buy jewelry, you tell them, okay, I'll lay away, I'll pay 20% now, come back and pay it later. So that's what we are talking about, customer, me as a customer. Private investment partners, and the last part here it says SBA backed loans. SBA will guarantee a lot of the loans for startups, for working capital, for buying property. So those kind of loans, and that's a big chapter by itself. So we do workshops on simple methods to finance your company. So that's and what it needs to be done to get an SBA backed guarantee. Okay. And then the informing is my money. Cash is the focal point. Cash is king. That's what we keep on saying to everybody. It measures the success of your business. Now, as soon as you start working something, you may not get money in. So you need to have a bank balance. That's what is the biggest problem now with the virus that we are having. You know, a lot of people didn't have a lot of money in the bank that they could withdraw. You know, you have an employee to pay, you have to pay the rent. But if you didn't have enough money in the bank, you're not going to be able to pay because you're not getting any income. Everything is shut down. So it's also possible when you start a business, you may not be profitable for a couple of months. So what we call, you gradually build up your revenue until it meets the expenses. When the revenue and the expenses are same, which is we call a break-even point. So then you takes you about maybe 6 months sometimes to get to that point, you know. So you need to track your cash flow. You may ask me why? What's so important about cash flow? Because cash flow tells you how much money you're making and how much money you're spending out of it, you know. Understand where your business stands, profit and loss. And then you can also apply for line of credits. In this case, you're not using the money, but the bank will tell you, you have a line of credit of $5,000, but you can draw as and when you need it. That way you don't pay a lot of interest on the money because you have drawn it, but you still have a certain fee for keeping that money available for you, you know. And then keeping track of your finances will help you at the end of the year to pay your state taxes and federal taxes and help you to understand where you're going. So set up, when you start your business, please set up a separate business account because it's a lot easier to have all your receipts and your expenses from one account. You can even get a business credit card from the banks. A lot of them will do that. So that helps you, you know. And then you may not know what a bookkeeping system is. So what you need is find some accountant or a bookkeeper who has done a similar kind of business and they can set it up. You don't need to have a big QuickBooks or Quicken or anything in the beginning. You can just use an Excel spreadsheet. Only criteria is you need to put down all the things that you're going to pay or what the expenses are going to come out at, you know, and then you can make up your own monthly financial statements. Another thing is keeping track of your accounts receivable. If you're one of those businesses that are going to do things and get some payment maybe a month later, 2 months later, especially contracting business is very, very important for that. There, you need to keep track of who's paying you on time, who's not paying you on time. That's why it's important to keep track of your receivables, because if you didn't have your receivables and didn't remind them to pay, then you are in trouble, right? So this is a very simple thing we talk about. You put all your activities, transactions, then you prepare an income statement, which tells you what money you made, how much you spent, and how much you made at the end. A balance sheet is nothing but what we call what's your asset, what's your liability, and how much money is worth to you. So your assets have to equal your liability and your equity. Suppose you put in $5,000 in the business and you spend money and then you got about some $10,000 as receivables. You got asset cash in the bank. So now you should have at least $10,000. So that's the asset. And if you owe someone like payroll, taxes, or anything you bought on credit card, that will be your payable or liabilities. I always say the very simple thing, just like when you buy a house, you bought a house, $100,000, you pay $20,000 as your down payment. So your house is the asset worth $100,000. You already put in $20,000 and you borrowed money for $80,000. So your house as a whole is maybe worth, but really it's you have liability of 80,000 and your own personal is 20. So your asset home 100,000 equals 80,000 liability and 20,000 is your owner's equity. You know. And the last one is the cash flow statement. That's very, very crucial because we have a lot of sample cash flows in our office, in our website. You can see, we break down what's your revenue, what's your cost, what's your different expense items. So this is a very simple Proforma. I won't go into it very much in detail. You can tell there's cash on hand, revenues and sales tax, total cash, and then you go down. At the end of the year, whatever you have at the cash at the end of the month goes into the next month at the beginning cash. And this statement would be very useful to make up your income statement at the end of the year. Marketing. Now, you may ask me, what do I do for marketing? Most important part for a small business, home-based business, will be social media. You can use Facebook. Facebook is the most common um, method of marketing. A whole bunch of people use them. 70% of the people use Facebook. You can put down information. You may ask me, what, don't I have to pay for advertising? Yes. If you want to advertise on Facebook, there is a possibility of doing that, and you can see what kind of response you got. But if you're just using it, you can put in some notes and give some information to your friends. That would be possible. Same thing with Twitter. And then there are, you have like Pinterest, there 95% of the people use it. And what they have is there in Instagram, for example, you put photos and videos that is more attractive for people. So you need to decide what's the website you want to use. You may get a website builder who can make up a website for you. And is it cheap? Not always. You're going to have to check it out. And then if you are in Facebook, maybe if your friend writes down what a great product you had, then somebody else seeing that may be tempted to buy it. So that's where, when they are recommending it. And one of the other things is, when you look at it, you can also build it such that you target certain age groups, like maybe from 20 to 30, maybe older people. So you can design your website so that you get to the right age, right gender, and what kind of interest they have. Are they somebody that is interested in a lot of art kind of thing, music? What is it you can be interested? So that's what we are saying. So there is a certain website there that you can go and see what kind of social media marketing that you can use. Now, the old-fashioned way is business cards. We used to always have business cards. They tell me, oh, nobody uses business cards. That's not true. You design your business card, gives the most important thing, your name, contact information, phone, and email. But it also should have a basic thing. What do you do? Quickly, when they look at the business card, they immediately can get, oh, you do website design? Oh, I like that. I want to have something done. Oh, you do remodeling things? Oh, I love that. So when they see it, it should pop up. People are telling me now, oh, they don't use those cards. They now do it by tele, in your phone. You can have it and you can send it to people too, but that shouldn't prevent you from having a business card, which is not at all very expensive. Especially, this will be very useful if you're going to networking events, because you can give out the cards very easily and people can have it. And if it is made that it is having information, basic and catchy information, and then you can have newsletters. I know some financial planners send you a newsletter every month saying what they think the market is going to be doing. So that's the easy way for them to keep in touch with you and keep in touch with other clients. Blogging, I'm not very sure how you do it, but apparently you can use other media. But this means you have to write a blog. Your blog has to be current. You have to put new content every time, because once they say the same thing, then they're going to get disappointed. So you can use any of the social media, but blogging is something that takes time and effort. Now, participate in charity events. If you have a bazaar, if you have a student, some kind of event that's happening where you're going to meet a lot of people, go by. And we always tell you, develop what we call the elevator pitch. What do you mean elevator pitch? If you meet somebody in the elevator, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, yeah, my name is Lolita, and I'm working for SCORE. What do you do for SCORE? I'm a mentor at SCORE. We mentor small business. It didn't take me even 2 minutes to say that to you, right? So the same thing you're going to have to develop so that you can tell them the elevator pitch. Get them interested. Don't just drop it. Get some information from them so that you can contact them back. Press release are for big companies, because somebody, if you want to put a press release in Chronicle, they're not going to quote you unless you are some big guy somewhere. You can also go to Craigslist or Home Advisors. I find some of my friends use Home Advisors because that's a very good way of putting your information. They can figure out what is it that you're doing. You can get contracts through them, and also you can get good revenue recommendation. If suppose you had worked for somebody else, they can contact them. If they give you a positive recommendation, that's great, then you will be in good shape. So what is the home office deduction? I told you already, it has to be regular and it has to be consistent. Suppose you're using a business and you're paying mortgage, you could deduct part of the mortgage and the interest rate. But you need to make sure that you follow what the IRS is called. Year to year, it changes, numbers change. But definitely using your home, using your computer, using your telephone system, using your car, these are all deductions that you can use for sure. So what happens, some people get very scared. They say, oh, if I use a home deduction, the IRS is going to be auditing me. No, they're going to look at what's the reasonableness of your thing. Are you doing it? You can say, I'm using 50% of my house for business when you're only having one room. So be reasonable what you're doing, And if you like to, I had a friend who used to have children in our house, check daycare. And so she was using most of the house, but she was providing them lunch and she was providing them breakfast. So she would deduct all the cost that was coming up for taking care of those children. Say, if you spend for repair, you may be able on the business space that, like I had to have a new line put in for my computer services, so you may have to deduct that, or you have to have fast, like for example, if you're using like a call center, you're going to be doing from home a call center operation, then you have to have very reliable, dedicated lines. So those are all special kind of thing. You can deduct a part of the insurance, and general repairs, maintenance. I already talked about mortgage and interest, and they say, see an accountant because sometimes you can. What happens is when you use a home for business and you use it for a long time, when if you sell the house, you may have to recapture some of it as a deduction that comes through, So now we already talked about what kind of businesses can you do? Most important thing that most of the people do is consultant. I'm an engineer, I'm an architect, I'm a bookkeeper. Those you can do. Or you can do work for other people. There was a time when billing was a very important part for medical billing. People thought they can do that from home because they get the information, they code them, and they do. But now it's not that much work in that kind of system. Then you can be a plumber, an electrician. All you're doing is keeping your books and scheduling your appointments. You may be actually going to the location and doing the work, But your office, you don't need a separate office for that. You do all the work at home. The other thing is many people now are doing coaching, especially for math, preparing people for special kind of exams that they have to do, And then you can develop apps. Like I had a couple of people that said, I want to develop this special kind of app where I connect this person to the other person. It was something that they developed. And it's easy to do. Web design, for web design, you need special kind of teaching. You need some experience on that, Many people are very good in writing. Photography, that's a great thing. When you're doing photography, you could be doing photography for events. You may be going at the events and doing it, but you may have things at home that you have to use the systems and editing you do. So those kind of things you can do from home. Then, of course, I talked about childcare, online tutoring. The other thing is, suppose you are going to be taking care of senior people. You're not going to take care of yourself. You're going to have some people as contractors that are working with you, that they go to senior citizens. This is very important because a lot of seniors want to stay in their house. I had a friend, she had polio and she couldn't move. As things got worse and worse, she couldn't even get up, she couldn't move. So she had to have somebody come in for 24 hours, morning and evening. They came in, they didn't do anything. They except helped her to get to the bathroom or get dressed and get the medicine. And she used to have food and they will warm it up and give it to her. They won't cook, but they will warm it up and give. So you can have somebody go to different people's home and take care of seniors and do that. The other thing is transportation. Like right now, you know, people want to buy groceries or something. I know the Kroger and Randall, they do delivery. But when you ask for a cabbage, maybe he'll get you a 4 pound big cabbage. But if you go and buy for the senior citizen, you may selectively buy things, you know, so they may prefer that. So you can do that. Or taking them to the medical appointments, you know, to the doctor's office because their son, daughter, they're not available during day and you can do that transportation. But each one of these things have got their own restriction. Suppose you're doing transportation, senior transportation, you want to make sure that you have liability insurance because your car should be um, accessible for a disabled person and also have the liability because you're going to be using it for business so that you're, you know, in case something happens, then you don't have any problems, okay? And event planner, unfortunately, right now, not too many events are taking place, but event planners, they do. A lot of them work with graduations, weddings, and different items, even regular meetings, you know, large scale meetings, you need somebody who can plan the event for you. And then food services, catering. You can cook at home. You're not going to do a big thing. You can cook, you can ship them. And there is a exception if you're not serving a whole bunch of people and things like that. The Texas has got some home-based thing that you can look into. What's drop shipping? You arrange for the shipping from a third party to be dropped at another location. So somebody wants something, you can do. Like even for construction, you know, not every contractor has got ability to take all the stuff. So you could do that. And then you can do, if you're very art kind of oriented, you can sell things on Etsy or eBay. Cleaning services, many of them do that because a lot of them are not able to take care of the houses. So you have a maid service coming in and they clean the house and they go away. It's possible that you get the key and you can get in and out without the owner being there. Be sure that you have insurance again, because if something goes wrong, then the cleaning service people don't get into trouble because of that, you know. And then in-home beauty services, I have seen that happen too. People come in and do a small amount, not a big like a beauty salon. You can do facials and nails and things like that. And then sewing and alteration, that's an important business too, because a lot of times we get these ready-made shirts, one size fits all, and it doesn't really fit you. You need to make some alteration. You can get that done. So that's nothing. And dog walking and pet grooming, I see them, they bring a van and they take the pet in there and they clean them up. But that's, you don't need anything except a van to drive around. Dog walking is, I couldn't believe the amount of money people pay for their dogs to walk their dogs, you know, unbelievable. For they pay them by hour, so it's a good business. Then what about some of the franchises that we have? There are franchises available. I'm just giving you an idea that you can have someone, contractors go and do carpet cleaning. If you want to get a franchise, it could be costing you about 40,000. I can be a cruise planner. I had a colleague who used to do that for many, many years. And she would get a group of about 20, 30 people and go on cruises. And that made a lot of money because she can get herself going, and arranging for these cruises brought in good money. You can get a franchise for that too. It may cost you about $11,000. And then senior care, if you're going to go into their house, then do. I've also known for people, if they have a home with several big large rooms, they can have seniors stay in the house, you know. But be sure you have accessibilities, you know, disabled people to travel around, you know. Many people think that I can get, they have Social Security, Medicare will pay for them. But there are very strict rules and regulations. You need to look into the state of Texas requirements for taking care of seniors, especially if you're going to be using both child care and senior care. If you're going to be using any kind of Social Security or Medicare funds, there are special rules and regulations for that. Then what about nowadays? This is the big thing that I've just found out from my friend who's in real estate. She said, gone are the days when people go to 5, 6 houses and look and then buy the house of their choice. Now everything is virtual and virtual staging. I met a client once who was doing staging. They would bring in furniture and all that and put it in the empty house to make it like it's been living through, with pictures and all that to make it attractive. But now you don't have to do all that. What they are doing is they are showing it on the video. They have virtual staging. They can put in information there, put pictures and furniture and colors and all kinds of stuff to make it look attractive. And real estate agents have to pay for doing these videos. And if you're good, have a good eye for how to stage things, how to make it look great, much better. When you look out of the window, what do you see? You can have an artificial kind of a look up there. So that's kind of thing. So go down to franchisedirect.com and you can look in there. What are the various kinds of franchises available? So other thing, cleaning, I'm going to go through a couple of them. What it is, cleaning services, it takes and you get old with it, it lasts long time. You can work for many, many years, You can do home cleaning or business cleaning services, buildings, office buildings, you can do that. Then you just hire some people to do it late in the evening or late at night. And then there are some pollution and allergy control, which requires a lot more knowledgeable about the chemicals, things that they're using for cleaning, so that's maybe hazardous sometimes. And then it says no experience required, but I would argue, especially if you're doing specialized cleaning, you can just have a DBA, or best thing is to get an LLC, because now you are exposing yourself to various different locations and anything can go wrong. So in order to avoid that, create an LLC, a single member LLC, and you don't have much overhead expenses. So now what is this? Sometimes employees bonding. If you go, like for example, in condominium and you're doing some work in a condominium area, the condominium association will require that your employees be bonded. That is, they have to get some surety bonds so that just to be sure that no damage will come out of it, that's what it is. And there are companies that will do that, but one of my lawyer friends said, no, that's only for big companies. Not really, even for smaller ones, I know, because the condominium association will insist that anybody doing work in the property is bonded. And then most of the time you just have to go with word of mouth. My thinking on that is, if you had someone you did work for, go back and ask them for references. Ask them to tell their friends. And so that's what was word of mouth. Or you can also advertise in small newspapers or homeowners newsletters. They are relatively cheap. Could be $50 for 3 months, 3 newsletters. So it's cheap. It's not very expensive, And it takes time. It takes time. So a lot of people think I can do this, but it takes time to build up a good clientele, because once you have someone, they may be a client for years and years to come for you. Then this one, I'm not very sure whether we can really be doing it, but still it says that the bill, what it is that they say it's large business in US, many amount of money. But the problem is here, you need to get training what to do. You can be obnoxious when you try calling them or sending them an email. So you need to be, yes, they owe money, but at the same time, you can be demanding. You need to understand that they may have some financial difficulty. So you need to understand what is it that you're asking them. How can you work with? And also, credit reporting and debt collection laws have to be understood, because each state will be different. So you're going to have to check again with the state of Texas, seeing you want to be a bill collector, what can you do? So you need to understand that. And the last thing on this is be patient and accept rejections. That's so critical, because if I didn't have the money to pay the bill and you keep calling me 10 times, I'm going to get irritated, right? I'm not going to be very nice to you. So that's where you have to have a lot of patience. You're going to have a way of working through difficult situations, and if they refuse to answer and they just hang up on you, you need to know how to get to them, So those are the kind of things you have to learn. This is also very, very critical. I have seen young people that have children. The parents doesn't have the time nor the patience or maybe even to work with children. So private tutoring, they charge anywhere from $50 to $75 an hour. So you can set up like several, two in a day, maybe that means 10 in a week. On Saturdays, you can have more than one. So it is always in demand because parents are wanting to make their children highly successful. Motivation. So you need to know how you can tutor, how can you work with young people. And sometimes even college students require some help. Not everybody is very familiar with the basic math, basic things. So you're gonna have to be understanding on that. So, so you can teach them, or you can teach music. A lot of children learn music at home. They may come to you, they may have a piano at home or even a keyboard. You can teach them, or you can teach yoga. That's very, very common these days. Now, with the Zoom, people are teaching yoga online. They are teaching dancing online. They're teaching music online. So you get a lot of students. I have a cousin who teaches yoga, and this now she teaches more people than she ever did before. So it is possible, and it's good that you can do that. And you once people know that you do something, then you get good name. You are patient, you do well, and it's strictly by word of mouth. If my son is learning from you and you do a good job, I'm going to tell somebody, hey, my son didn't know much of math, but so and so helped him with the math. So that means you're going to get more people coming up. So, but you need to have good knowledge and experience. So if you, like it said, if you do too good a job, maybe they won't need you next year. But I bet you, if you do a good job, they're going to need you. You have to have a lot of patience working with children, even with senior citizens. When I just found one place where they were teaching people, senior citizens, how to use their Android telephone. What are all the things they can do with it? Your grandchildren may be very good in doing WhatsApp or FaceTime or anything like that. But when you want to do it, you need to know what do you have to do, what do you have to download, how do you do it. So you can teach those kind of classes too. So anyhow, that's what it is. Then we talked about senior citizens, but 85 and living longer at home. I told you about my own friend who had difficulties and she had to have somebody coming in. And we had other people where they took them out to the beauty parlor to have their hair done, to have to the doctor's appointment. So you don't need a lot of capital for doing this, except patience and able to maneuver around people. So you need that. And also, you need to know how to handle people because sometimes when people are disabled, they may not look very heavy, but since they are not cooperating with you in moving themselves, you're going to have a knack of doing things. How do you lift them up? What do you do with them? It's just like children, when you try to lift them up, you just can't take them up. They're everything hanging around. And of course, you have to have permits and licenses because they want to make sure. Unfortunately, we are all we are honest people and want to do an honest business. But there are people that are using this as an opportunity. Like I had one person who used to take the guy for work every day because he couldn't drive. Guess what he did when the man was not in the car? He stole a couple checks from his briefcase and then cashed them for some big chunks of money. So there are scammers and there are fraudulent people. So unfortunate part of it is those of us that are honest will have to face that. So we're going to have permits, licenses, and insurance. Security services. You can install security cameras. You can install security system. That is a big business nowadays. Those little bells that have a camera in them that you can see inside. So it's one thing that you do security consulting and install security systems, and then you can have private patrolling you can have security guards driving around specifically for neighborhoods. They may hire security guards. You can have a bunch of people doing that. And then they also have some events that they may need people. But you need to have uh, operating costs means you might have special training for doing this. You need to have special installation experience, or you need to know how to find people that can do the job. Again, liability is very, very important. And again, licensing is important too, because you can't just install security cameras and have a security system, because you are opening up they are opening up their home to you. So you're going to have to be careful on security system. So to create a successful home business is understand the business you want to start. Look at it. How much money can it give you? What can you do? What kind of requirements you have? Make up a simple business plan, and have a positive business attitude, because unfortunately, it can happen that it may take you 4 or 5 months to become profitable, and then look for ways to grow. Avoid problems, scam. That's what it is, because main problem is security and scam. There are people that are very, very willing to rip off clients. So if you hire somebody, you're gonna have to be very careful. And so that's where I am. I'm open for questions if anybody has. Okay.
Lalitha,
Yes.
if you look under the Q&A box, there are some questions.
Let me see.
Guru Natesh wants to know, what are the tax forms for an LLC? And I believe you answered that before,
Yeah,
previously.
I can do that. If you want, what's the tax form for an LLC? If you're a single member LLC, then you just going to use your Schedule C and your 1040. If you are a corporation, you're going to have to file a 1120 form, and then you will get a K1 as a partner in the sub S corporation. If you have a partnership, you're going to have to fill out the 1065. But remember, irrespective of what form you have for your own taxes, if you have employees, you're going to have to fill out the payroll taxes for them. And if you have contractors, you have to give them 1099 at the end of the year. And then are grants available? We and SCORE normally work with most of the profitable business, so we don't have a lot of grants, but there are, SBA has some grants for people that are developing special kind of product. But I understood from someone the other day that there are grants available if you have a special kind of a thing, like you're working with disabled people, but you just gonna have to look for them. I'm not sure what I have. If you are living with with family, and you can, yes, you can create a home business on your under your name, and you're going to have to tell. But if they have family, then you're not going to be paying rent, so you may not be possible for you to deduct like things like that. But you can tell them that you will share in their utility expenses, and you can deduct part of that. um, Somebody is asking for institutional investors. Sir, those are all big guys, angel and institutional investors. Nowadays, we are seeing a lots and lots of people coming in with people that want to do developing, like technology kind of thing, like the Rice University is working with some. I just saw in the paper, they have quite a few of them, the IOC, ION, then we have um, there's one on the other side of town. So there are a bunch. So you can look, but I can try and see if I can find something. You can send me an email and let me see if I can find something for you. Okay. More next. Let me see where I am. Oh, if you want to use your 401k, we have companies that that do that. What you have to do is you create a business, and your 401k money is invested in your business. And there are groups that do that, and you have to set it up correctly so that all the money that you're using for your business is like you're investing in your 401k. The big advantage on this is that you don't have to pay, like, return the money, but you can work. And definitely there is no penalty setting it up, but there are some groups, and we do have webinars on them too, how to use your 401k money to start a business. Okay, and there is special steps involved in this. I don't think there is any maximum limit. There is a certain way you can do it, but haven't heard of anybody talking about maximum limit. Yes, you can use it because you're setting it up as like, if I suppose you have a 401k and I go and buy stocks in, say, IBM, my stocks are. So what you're doing now is you're buying this company as your company, and the company can pay Social Security, salary, and everything. So it's not anything, but one big advantage, remember, is that, startup businesses not always making any money. So you don't want to put all your 401k money in starting a business. I would suggest using a percentage of it rather than a whole amount of money, because if you lose it, you have a lot of difficulty, invested money lost. Okay? So be careful how much money you invest. Here comes Ravi. He says he has a social media for seniors, so everybody can check it, and it's in HCC. Ravi should give the address so we can tell people to register. Best avenue for cost-efficient human resources service. HR, best way of doing human resource, if you don't want to handle all the things, you can hire people through agencies, temporary agencies and things like that. But remember, when you go through some other organization, they are there to make money. So they charge you for it. So it could be anywhere from 15% of the amount of money you pay. So if you pay $10, they may charge 15% of that as their fee. But one good advantage using outside sources, you don't have to worry about Social Security deducting and all that, and they'll take care of that. Okay. You're welcome, Guru. Yes, if you are a small business and you are working with vendors, you do need to ask them to fill out the W-9 form. And also another thing, if you are using contractors, be sure they fill out what they call an I-9 form. An I-9 form is an immigration form to let you know that they are here legally. So you don't have any repercussions later on saying you hired someone that was not here legally. Yes, you do need to get the W-9 forms filled out. Yes, I did say you can set up your business in your parents' house. Oh, what's the purpose? DUNS are numbers that they have a big, you can look in the SBA website to find out what kind of numbers they have. What they use is when you have a business for a while and you use your business is not only profitable, your business pays its bills on time, and that you have not messed up something that you didn't pay. So that is how you build your business credit. And those DUNS and the next codes help you for them to track how your business is doing. Unlike personal credit, building a business credit is if you borrow money from the bank, are you paying the money back on time? Are you making sure that there are no late fees on it? Are you paying your customers, your suppliers on time? So these are the kind of things that will go into look at your business credit. If you have a credit card, how much are you using? Are you late? Are you just making the minimum payment on your credit card? That wouldn't be very good, because that means you're not managing your money well. So those are the kind of things that they will look for a business credit. And we have couple of people that are very good on business credit classes. We have a group that works with us. They are very good and they can help you to improve. If your business credit is not good, they can help you to improve it too. Yes, sir. SCORE is always very happy to do presentations to anybody. Our goal is to educate. Our goal is to help businesses start with the right footing so that they don't face the problems that, hey, I didn't do this right. Like, I just read in the paper about a few weeks ago, a big restaurant chain. He has 8 restaurants around and he's closing. And you know what he said? He said, I am so sad that I used all the money I had saved up in these restaurants. If I had been smarter, I would have saved that money and got me a loan so that when times like this came up, like the COVID, I could have used the money that I had saved up, rather than doing it. I didn't do it right. So you need to understand, how do you go about get get money such that you can use it. Don't put everything in there. Use it wisely. Get a loan, but be sure you can pay it back on time. So take a look at it. As a veteran, if you owned your business, that would be different. But your employer may be able to get some credit for employing veterans. He may have to look that up separately rather than trying to see whether he can get any forgivable loans as a veteran. Okay, as employing a veteran, they do have some advantages. If you are a veteran and you want to form an LLC, the state has some fees that they waive in that situation, so you can get some help. Okay, here's my friend Ravi. He said there is a events at idleloom.com. That's the hcc.events, idloom.com. That's where you can go and register for senior citizen class. How motivating is to reduce employee social security? No, 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 no. It doesn't reduce your social security and Medicare costs. What I'm trying to tell you is a mortgage interest as a homeowner having a home-based office, you will be able to deduct some interest from your revenue. So with the result, if you made, let's say, $100,000 and you paid an interest of $4,000 for your, or maybe $6,000 for your home, and you are using 15% of that, you can deduct that. That way your taxable income for your company will be reduced. I do want to say something at this point to everybody. Those of you who are thinking, hey, I don't want to pay any taxes, I want to reduce the tax liability. Please do understand, when last few months, we have been looking at people wanting to get money for the economic injury disaster loans. When you go look at it, they will look at your tax returns and they will see how much money you made, how much was the expenses you had, what was your net profit. If you continuously over 2-3 years didn't make any profit, then they will be very hesitant to loan you money, because they're going to think, hey, my company is not making any money, so how will they return my money? That means your eligibility for those kind of things will go down. So all deductions, whatever deductions you use for your business, be reasonable. Because showing a zero profit or a negative all the time is not good for the business. I know accountants always like to say you don't need to pay taxes, but it does reflect on your company and your eligibility. Okay. Yes, we do have a workshop. I think Bill can have another workshop which will tell you how to use your 401k money. Okay. Sure. I'm not sure whether if you are a partnership, you can get the benefits as a veteran, because some of the business things that they offer that I've heard in the Boots to Business program is that the company has to be owned totally by the veteran. I think we will send you the slide presentation. Um, I don't think there is any restriction on selling on online. Many of them may not have it, but only thing I'm saying is if you are continuously selling a lot on different states, be sure that your business is not subject to certain kind of taxes like sales tax. Because I was looking through that yesterday to tell you guys something, and I found that they call, if you have a presence and you have employees, then the sales tax things may be different. Also, each state has an amount that you can sell without having to be liable for those kind of taxes. So you just have to look, and we can provide you some information on that. I think I'm almost done, Bill. Thank you all for coming. And here's something that you guys have to. This is a very important website for us, houston.score.org. If you go to our website, you will see three things there. Find a mentor, because all of you that have come to the class, please ask for a mentor. A mentor can help you in marketing. A mentor can help you in funding. A mentor can help you in writing your business plan. So be sure and find a mentor. And then all our workshops will be showing up on it. And then browse our library. There is a whole bunch of information in our library. So that would be a very good thing for you too. Bill?
Okay, hello guys. I My name is Quincy Swallow. We have just launched a poll. If you can, please go ahead and answer those two questions for us to let us know how things are going.
I thought Bill was going to ask some two questions.
Yeah, that's what they're doing right now, Ms. Lee.
Okay. I don't see it.
Okay, guys, I'd like to say thank you so much for participating in starting a home-based business. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to a mentor at houston.score.org and request a mentor, or you can actually look there and see all the additional workshops that we have throughout the course of the year. If you have any, I'd like to say thank you, and y'all have a great evening.